Howdy folks, welcome to Mingles with Jingles, episode 21. Now, I must apologise in advance at the start of this video for two reasons. First of all, well, I'm complaining again. Sorry about this. And related to why I'm complaining is the fact that a lot of you guys have been complaining that there isn't enough War Thunder content on the channel, and you're absolutely right, there isn't, but there are several reasons for that. And the reasons can pretty much be summed up in one word. Douchebags. Unfortunately, War Thunder, like most multiplayer games, is infested with them. And while it's certainly true that you got your fair share of douchebags in World of Tanks as well, tanks are designed to be shot at, aircraft aren't. And so it's much, much easier to be a successful douchebag in War Thunder than it is in a game like World of Tanks, for example. And I've just had enough of it. And this is kind of the great curse of multiplayer gaming in general. Most multiplayer games are absolutely fantastic until you go and add the players, and that's where your problems start. Although, I mean, there are elements of War Thunder that are just... Well, this clip, for example, it's a 4-engined H-6K Japanese heavy bomber. And that particular douchebag is in an Su-2 Soviet single-engined attack aircraft, and he's going to ram me twice. Take me out, fly away as if nothing ever happened. How? I mean, I realise this is arcade battles in War Thunder, and I shouldn't really be expecting anything too realistic, but come on. It's a single-engine fighter ramming a 4-engine bomber. Not once, but twice. The 4-engine bomber is the one that goes down. And the single-engine attack aircraft flies off as if nothing had happened. It's really, really difficult to try to defend War Thunder against claims of Russian bias when shit like this happens on a regular basis. And it does suck the fun out of the game when, I mean, it takes no skill whatsoever to take out an enemy bomber anymore. You just load up a Russian aircraft and fly into him as many times as it takes for him to go down. And then you get games like this, which was just, it was just shocking, the amount of rampant douchebaggery, all in the space of 5 minutes of arcade battle. And I've only got myself to blame here. I mean, I just shouldn't be flying arcade battles at all, but I used to have so much fun in War Thunder playing arcade battles. If it wasn't for War Thunder arcade battles, I wouldn't be playing War Thunder now. They are what got me interested in the game. And it wasn't like this when I started playing. I just don't get it. I don't know if it's because... Well, it's probably because the game's gotten more popular, and I'm probably to blame for that. So, you know, yeah, nobody to blame but myself. Shut up, Jingles. You made the problem. Live with the consequences. Yeah, fair enough. So, you know, and I've said this myself. The solution is to, you know, it's to take the next step in War Thunder. Stop playing arcade battles and get into historical battles. And I have been doing that. But, well, I played a game with RAM JB today. Jumped into historical. Nobody was playing the Germans. I don't know why. Everybody's in Spitfires and Beaufighters lately. So, you know, if you want to actually get a game, you pretty much have to play the Germans or the Japanese. Well, you know, that's all right. I don't mind. And so we jumped into MC202s, Italian rank 4 fighters. And then the second problem I have with War Thunder reared its ugly head, and this is the first time it's ever happened in a historical battle. I got spotted, and somebody in chat said, "Oh look, it's Jingles." And I was looking at the radar, and I'm this little blue dot in the middle of the radar, and suddenly I saw all of these red dots appear, and they all started heading towards the blue dot in the middle of the radar. And it was like that scene in Galaxy Quest, where the guy's sitting there by the radar console. He's going, guys, there's a whole bunch of red thingies heading for the green thingy. I think we're the green thingy. And it is the same problem that the same reason why I never play on anything other than the Russian server. The second I get spotted, everybody forgets what they're doing and they come over because everybody just wants to be the guy to shoot the sheriff. But it's never happened in historical battles before, and now it's starting to happen in historical battles, and I just can't get a break. And then, of course, I come out of the battle after having had a horrible game, and my screen looks like this. So, that's fun. And a lot of people have said, Jingles, just change your name. And to be fair, War Thunder does allow you to do it for free. It doesn't cost you anything to change your name in the game. But that's only good enough until the first time I put a video up. It basically means I have to change my name every single time I play War Thunder. And it may be free, but it's a pain in the ass. And it would get rid of the problem of being constantly ganged up on, but it doesn't remove the douchebags from the game. You still have to put up with them. And so at some point you've just got to start asking yourself, what is the amount of effort that I'm having to put into this game in order to be able to just play it like a normal person? Is it worth what I'm getting out of it? And I don't know. I don't know if it's worth continuing to play War Thunder. But I'll have a go at changing my name and see how it works, because it is a great game. I absolutely love it, and I'm really looking forward to the ground forces and the naval combat, especially the naval combat. And it would be a shame to stop playing it just because of rampant douchebaggery. So there you go. Now you know and hopefully understand why there hasn't been that much in the way of War Thunder content on the channel lately. Also, to be fair, I've been mega busy lately with the 100,000 subscriber World of Tanks replay contest, which, good news, I have looked at all of the submissions. Well, I haven't. Eddie and I have looked at all of the submissions, and we have our winners. So coming up in the next few days, starting tomorrow, I'm going to be giving out some Tier 8 premium tanks. And now that the contest is over, more spare time to dedicate to playing War Thunder, and I will be taking some sort of steps, like changing my name, maybe editing certain aspects of the videos out, in order to, just to try to get some more War Thunder played. Because I love the game. I think it's worth playing. I know a lot of you guys love the game, and I know a lot of you guys are only here because you love the game, and you deserve to be able to see some decent War Thunder content. So I'm basically just going to do whatever it takes in order to be able to show you the content that you deserve. So, there's that. Speaking of the World of Tanks replay contest, some of the games you guys have been sending in have... How shall I put this? Because in this replay contest it didn't really matter whether you won or lost, it was all just about how much damage you could do in the appropriate tier of vehicle. I have had a lot of games sent in where people have been doing just astronomical amounts of damage and yet losing. And I showcased a couple of those videos. The one that springs to mind most is a guy named Bum Muncher. Fantastic name. You probably saw the video. He was in his AMX-50 Foch. He got hit 40 times. He took 16,000 potential damage. He did 10,228 damage. And still, his team couldn't win. Well, Bum Muncher, at the time that I saw that particular replay, was the most extreme example of that kind of game that you guys had sent in, but he was by no means the only one. And what I'd like to do is a sort of heartbreaker video series where I just show you the most amazing losses, where it just, the stars had just aligned in the wrong position, and no matter what you were going to do, you were not going to win that game. And there have been a multitude of submissions of games just like that. The most heartbreaking defeats, where there's just no justice in the game whatsoever. So you've got that to look forward to. I guarantee that will be entertaining. The other thing about the World of Tanks replay contest is that it has absolutely ruined me for watching World of Tanks replays. And what I mean by that is the sheer amount of damage that you guys have been putting out in these replays. When I play a game of World of Tanks, and again, obviously it's relevant to whatever tier of tank you're playing. You know, if you do 3,000 damage in a tier 3, obviously that's amazing. But 3,000 damage in a tier 10 is good, but it's nothing to shout about. Now, when I'm playing tier 8, 9 or 10 machines, if I do a 3,000 damage game, I've had a bloody good game. You know, anybody doing 3,000 damage in a game has had a good game. And those are the sort of games that you see me putting up on YouTube. But going through these replays, 3,000 damage? Forget it. I've been going through these submissions, and I've been checking out the damage result on the World of Tanks replay site. And people have been doing 5,000 and 7,000 damage in tier 8, 9 and 10 games, and it's just been boring. Seen it before. Not good enough. And these are fantastic games. But the standard of the competition has been set so high by the sheer astronomical amount of damage that some of you guys have been doing in your games, and in some of them still managing to lose, that I have quite literally just stopped being interested in games in which you're only doing 5,000 damage or 7,000 damage. You know, it takes a score in the tens of thousands to actually provoke my interest towards the end of going through these submissions. The amount of just sheer raw damage that some of you guys were capable of doing in your games has been utterly amazing. I guarantee you're going to see some entertaining replays when I start announcing the results of this contest, which will be happening tomorrow. I'm going to start off by doing the tier 1 to 4 category, and then each day I'll show you some of the best and then the winner in each category. So that's tier 1 to 4, tier 5 and 6, tier 7 and 8, and tier 9 and 10. And a lot of people predicted, well, tier 1 to 4 is going to be won by a Hetzer with the derp 105mm gun. And they said tier 5 and 6 was going to be won by somebody in a KV-1S. Tier 7 and 8 was going to be won by the ISU-152. And tier 9 and 10 was going to be won by somebody in one of the tier 10 tank destroyers, a Jagdpanzer E-100 or an FV-215B-183, for example. Yeah, we're going to see about that. I don't want to spoil any more, though. So you've got all that to look forward to coming up over the course of this week. Oh, one final thing about the replay contest. In previous replay contest roundups, people have been asking in the comments or sending me PMs, asking me how they can submit their replays to me. Guys, I've just gone through, in the space of a little under 3 weeks, 3,500 of your replays. If you think I ever want to see a World of Tanks replay again, you are sadly mistaken. Just, give me a break. In fact, I'll probably be taking a break after I've announced the winners and dished out the prizes for a couple of days, just to rest, recharge my batteries, and get my affairs in order. Anyway, question time at last. This one comes from Spencer10246. He wants to know, what's the best game I've played this year, other than World of Tanks and War Thunder? I'd have to say Bioshock Infinite. Now, I did a video preview of Bioshock Infinite a couple of days ago, and I wasn't expecting a lot from it. I got it in the Steam Summer Sale. As a whole, I bought a whole bunch of new games in the Steam Summer Sale, and I'll be doing videos of some of those games over the course of the next few weeks as well. I've been promising to do it for a while, but Bioshock Infinite, I wasn't expecting that much of it, because it's the third game in the series, and the quality usually starts degenerating. Just look at the Call of Duty games, for example, the further you get on in the series. And while I loved the first Bioshock game, I thought it was great up until the middle of the game, where there was a massive plot twist when you confronted the Andrew Ryan character. And then from that point on, it sort of just degenerated into a generic shooter with a kind of a cop-out ending, and yeah. So I wasn't expecting great things from Bioshock Infinite, but oh boy, man, I absolutely adored that game. The world that it created was fantastic and yet believable at the same time. And like the Mass Effect games, which are... I thought the Mass Effect games were probably better games than Bioshock Infinite. But Bioshock Infinite, while it didn't have the gameplay of the Bioshock games, the story was just as good. And I found it incredibly entertaining. People have asked if I would do a playthrough, a let's play of Bioshock Infinite. People who, really enjoyed the preview video that I did of it. No, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to spoil it for you, simple as that. I will show you enough of the game for you to be able to decide whether or not you want to play it yourself, but I'll show you no more than that, and I certainly won't spoil anything. If I was going to do a playthrough, that would kind of defeat the purpose of putting the preview up. If you like what you see in the preview, and you want to see more of the game, go out and buy it. I don't want to spoil it for you. A couple of you have also asked if I wouldn't be interested in playing another new game that's come out recently, The Last of Us. And I must admit, I did get massively excited about that game when I saw the adverts for it. When I saw various gameplay videos of it up on YouTube, unfortunately, then I saw the part where it said PlayStation 3 exclusive. I have never owned a games console. I've got no plans to own a games console. I'm a dedicated PC player, so there is just no way I am ever going to be able to play that game, which is really disappointing because it does look fantastic. But sadly, no. You're never going to see me do a playthrough, a let's play, or an anything of The Last of Us, which is a real shame because it looks fantastic. The next question comes from FastJake92. It's a good question. He wants to know, do you miss the Navy life, or do you feel you retired at the right time? I definitely feel that I retired at the right age. I was 41 when I completed my 22-year term of service. And I don't really miss it, but I certainly don't regret doing 22 years in the Navy. What I do miss is being a young man in the Navy. That was fantastic. Just, the world's your oyster. You're travelling all over the world. You're being paid to travel all over the world. And yeah, okay, occasionally sometimes people shoot at you. But you got to take the rough with the smooth. And yeah, occasionally sometimes the places that you visit are not fantastic, but most of them are, and at least it's a new experience. Something that you're never going to get to see working in a checkout at a supermarket. So I definitely don't regret it. But it's definitely true that as the end was drawing nearer, I was getting more and more tired with it, and just looking forward to being a civilian and being able to go home every night and sleep in the same bed every night and eat food that I wanted to eat when I wanted to eat and listen to music that I actually like for a change. So yeah. And it could be awfully inconvenient as well. I mean, I'm a bit of an achievement junkie in my games, and for 2 years in a row I couldn't complete the summer achievements in World of Warcraft because the Navy insisted on sending me to South America every summer. It was just damned inconvenient. I wanted that purple proto-drake for completing the What a Long Strange Trip It's Been meta achievement and completing all of the seasonal achievements. For 2 years in a row, the summer ones were the only ones that I hadn't completed, and the Navy kept sending me away. I mean, don't you know who I am? Stop sending me off to South America, damn you. But seriously though, and this isn't going to come as a surprise to anybody who served in the military anywhere. And you know what, it's not just restricted to the military, it's the same in the business world. You're constantly being asked to do more with less. We were getting the number of ships that we had slashed, and the government kept promising, yeah, we'll let you have, this many of these new ships if you get rid of this many of your old ships. And of course, the Admiralty would drop their pants, bend over and say, thank you, sir, please may I have another, as they got rid of all of their ships, and then the government welched on the deal and said, actually, you can't have all the ships we promised you, you're going to have to make do with half of them. But we're not asking you to do less with them, you still have to do the same amount of jobs. And it's the same story all over. It just, I'm not going to say it stopped being fun, but it seemed like there was a lot more work and a lot less play than there had been when I first joined up. I'll give you an example. As a writer, as my job was basically Navy admin. We had various different computer systems that we used to do the job that we had to do in order to ensure everybody got paid properly, amongst other things. Well, there was a brand new... So the government had decided, another, brilliant idea from the Great Ideas Club. The government had decided that instead of the Army having their own pay system and the Navy having their own pay system and the Air Force having their own pay system, there was no real difference between soldiers, sailors and airmen. And so they should all be paid the same way. And, we can consolidate all of the payment systems into one computer system. And, of course, the contract for the new computer system didn't go out to whoever provided the best service. It went out to whichever contractor had the most retired generals, admirals and air marshals on the board of directors, and it was an absolute disaster. It just didn't work. It wasn't that it didn't work well, it just didn't work at all. And for the first year, in the Navy we were relatively lucky because the Air Force had this system inflicted on them first, and they suffered through the worst nightmare trying to get this thing to work, and it just didn't. And then the Navy had to roll it out, and then the Army had to roll it out, and it still wasn't working a year after it had been introduced in the Air Force, and the Army was coming to roll the bloody thing out. And the training on it was just a shambles. My training on this new computer system, which was completely different and totally counterintuitive, just didn't work the way anybody would expect a computer system to work. More on that later. My training on this system consisted of 2 days at HMS Collingwood, being trained by an instructor who had never used the system and was simply reading from a guidebook. Didn't understand what she was reading, and it wasn't her fault. She'd been basically picked and said, "Here you go, teach this." What? I've never heard of it. Doesn't matter, teach it. That was my training. And so it was, it was just no surprise that it was an absolute disaster. The system didn't work. The people who were supposed to use the system hadn't been trained in how to use it. Oh, it was just horrible. Absolutely bloody horrible. And that's the sort of thing that was just happening across the board as the financial recession cut in, and it was just it was shambolic. It was so amateur and unprofessional, and I was just getting sick and tired, because when you're in the military, right, the people responsible for the really big cock-ups are never the ones that suffer because of them. Right? When some admiral or general or air marshal or whatever decides, we're going to do this because my wife sits on the board of directors of the company that wants to sell it to us, then they're not the ones that have to make it work. Right? It's the people down on the coalface, people like me, junior and middle management, that have to suffer through it. It's never the senior management. And it's the same all over. It's not just the military. I'm sure any of you working in any walk of life will have similar stories. The military is no different. And so it wasn't so much the military life or the Navy life that I was getting tired of, although I kind of was a little, because I was just getting a bit too old for it. But it was the whole process of working in the Navy that was just becoming such a massive ball ache, and I really couldn't wait to get out of it. And I was really, really lucky in that respect, because my last job in the Navy, for my last 2.5 years, had absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with working on pay systems. I ended up getting a job at the Admiralty Interview Board. And after years and years and years of sitting behind a desk in front of a computer, wearing a white shirt and black trousers, I ended up wearing a tracksuit and training shoes and working in a gymnasium. And it was just great, because I wanted nothing to do with my job towards the end. It had just become such a colossal ball ache. And the AIB, the Admiralty Interview Board, was probably the best job I ever had in the Navy. It was really, really good. What the AIB does is it processes everybody who wants to join the Royal Navy, the Royal Marines, or the Royal Naval Reserves as an officer. And it's a 2-day long course that and it's a pass-fail thing, obviously, where all these youngsters turn up. Youngsters, listen to me, I sound so old. They all turn up and they have a 2-day evaluation, and it's leadership skills, organisation, the ability to understand orders and formulate effective plans and all that sort of thing. And there are these various different practical leadership tests conducted in the gymnasium. And what we do is we give them these various different problems and a bunch of limited resources, and tell them to go away and say, right, your mission, for example, is get your team and this jerry can from platform A at one end of the gymnasium to platform B at the other end of the gymnasium, and then return with your team to platform A. And they're not allowed to touch the ground throughout the course of the whole exercise. And then have a limited amount of equipment to achieve that thing with them. And you'd almost never be able to build one solid structure all the way from one end of the gym to the next. You would have to uproot it as you went and use the bits that you'd used to get to the middle, for example, to get to the end. And you'd never tell them how to do it. You would give them 15. You give them the problem. You give them 15 minutes to formulate a plan. They'd have to come out, brief their plan to their team, and then lead their team using their plan to get whatever the mission was complete. And it was hilarious watching some of them. I mean, a lot of them were very, very, very good. They immediately grasped what the problem was. They understood how to use the equipment to, to achieve the objective. But some of them were just hopeless. But, that's the whole point of the exercise. You had to weed out the guys and girls who were just never going to make it. Didn't have had all the organisational and leadership abilities of a wet pancake. But it was a fantastic job, really, really good job. Especially the gymnasium stuff and the practical leadership tests. And the staff at that place were fantastic as well. There's such a good bunch of people to work with. One in particular, I'll never forget. Petty Officer, Physical Training Instructor, Tracy. Well, everybody called him Dick, Dick Tracy. Dick was a great bloke. We were both the same age, and we were both leaving within 6 months of each other. And we were constantly just on each other's back all the time because, I was this big, fat, lazy slob. And he was this super fit Iron Man because, he was a PTI. And, we're just messing around with each other. But I'll give you an example. He pulled a muscle in his thigh one day when we were doing one of the leadership tests in the gym. And it was pretty painful. He hurt himself quite badly. He was limping for at least a month before it finally healed up. Now, he never missed an opportunity to give me shit about being unfit. And so, when I caught him, this super fit man of steel, walking around with a sports injury, that was it. I thought, I'm going to milk this for everything it's worth as long as it lasts. So I'd say stuff to him like, yeah, it's a real shame about that leg of yours, Dick. And it's ironic as well, because, you spend all your time in the gym, and there you are, hobbling around like an old man. And I spend all of my time lying on a couch, eating rubbish food, watching DVDs, and I never get injured like that. And another thing, you get an injury like that, and you go to see the doctor, and the doctor says, take it easy. Now tell me, Dick, if taking it easy wasn't good for you, why would the doctor tell you to do it? And he'd be like, shut up, Charlton. And that's the sort of thing I miss about being in the Navy. It's the life, it's the people that I miss. The job itself, not so much, but the people and just the whole banter, the whole military banter between people in the Navy. That's the kind of thing that I really do miss. People like Dick Tracy. Well, that's it for this week, boys and girls. Coming next, this time tomorrow, there will be the first winner of the 100,000 subscriber replay contest in the tier 1 to 4 category. I guarantee it's going to be a vehicle you are probably not expecting. I'm also popping up to Combat South tomorrow. I've got the keys to the site in order to do some more airsoft recording and some reviews of airsoft weapons and equipment and stuff like that, as well as try to get some more airsoft videos done. The GoPro's here. I've got no more excuses. I just need it to stop raining so I can actually play a game in relative comfort. As always, folks, take care on that battlefield, watch your six, and I'll catch you next time.